there was a couple times that got a little close, like 300 meters. But even at that distance, you know, those 155s, you could feel the concussion of those explosions to the point where, you know, it was almost knocking the wind out of you. And it was pretty fucking scary. In fact, on the third iteration, we had done that over a week period. On the third one, there was a Willie P round that fell short and detonated, and I got a piece of it in my eye. Hello everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode of Live from the Lair. Alright, so I got a question here in regards to live fire exercises. Basically, they want to know if I ever did them. Of course I have. What do I think of them? And any stories that I could relay in regards to conducting, you know, live fire exercises. Hang on, I'm going to adjust my chair. All right, so when I first came in to the United States Army at 17, by the time I got to 9th ID, I was 18 years old. And we conducted some live fire exercises there, but they weren't anything like what was done at the 2nd Ranger Battalion or in the SF units I was in. One of the big live fires we did was conducted at Yakima Firing Center, and it was 347 Infantry and 247 Infantry were there at the same time doing a CalFax, which is a combined live fire exercise. All right, so, you know, we did a couple of deliberate attacks were removed as a front of 2 battalions moving forward, and you know, prior to, you know, small arms engagement, they're actually, you know, dropping 105 and 155 artillery rounds ahead of us. And let me tell you something. Now, technically, you know, there's supposed to be a certain buffer. I think it's in training, it's like 500 meters. You know, they drop the rounds 500 meters ahead of you as you're going along. And there was a couple times that got a little close, like 300 meters. But even at that distance, you know, those 155s, you could feel the concussion of those explosions to the point where, you know, it was almost knocking the wind out of you. And it was pretty fucking scary. In fact, on the third iteration, we had done that over a week period. On the third one, there was a Willie P round that fell short and detonated, and I got a piece of it in my eye, which I immediately washed out with my canteen, but I still have a dark spot on the white part of my eye here where it burned my eye. And I was fucked up for about 3 weeks on that one. And luckily that was the last live fire, and I sat the rest of the shit out on that particular one. You know, I had an eye patch on, so that I didn't participate in any of the actually, I don't think there was any live. Oh, there was some platoon and company level live fires after that we did. I didn't really take part in any of that shit because I had only one eye working, my right eye. And yeah, I was still there because I was, you know, what are you going to do? They're not going to send you home for that. It wasn't like a, you know, horrible injury or anything. Basically, after the third day, I felt, you know, about 80% better. But, you know, what the doc says is what the doc says. Now, on towards the end of that third, you know, mass live fire that we did, there was, I believe, 247 took a couple casualties, but those were from one of their Mark 19 automatic grenade launchers. It wasn't from the artillery. And I believe they had fired the 40 Mike. And engaged a bunch of targets. A couple of the grenades, either they didn't cook off in time, or one of the guys, you know, assaulting across the objective kicked one and it went off. But he caught some shrapnel in his right ass cheek and in the right side of his back and shoulder, and you know, he got fucked up pretty good. Again, you know, I ran into the guy like 6 months later. He was fine. You know, he didn't die. But, you know, when you're doing shit like that, it's dangerous as fuck, okay? Because, those are live rounds, and you know, whenever they say friendly fire, it's not. Okay, friendly fire is not friendly. Okay, so that was another one. And then on another field exercise several months after that, we were digging foxholes to secure a ridge, and they were telling us that the B-52s were going to be dropping 1,000-pound bombs in the valley to our front. So, you know, I dug my hole. They came out and they said, hey, you know, don't stick your head up when we give the fucking, they had like a little air horn thing to let you know that they're like a minute out from dropping the bombs. Like a dumbass, you know, I decided to fucking poke my head up. I wanted to see some fucking scunion. And one of my eardrums, I think it was on my left side, got blown out like almost instantaneously. So, again, I had to go fucking on sick call for that, and got yelled at for looking up over the edge, but I'm like, oh, I wasn't. Maybe I was just too close to the lip, and I fucking got my ears busted. And of course, you know, nobody narked on me, but they didn't believe me, so they just called me a dumbass and left it at that. And because I know I wasn't the only one that wanted to see that shit go down, and it was pretty fucking cool. And then I remember we did another live fire where we actually were, you know, assaulting behind the tanks and to the flanks of the tanks, and they're firing their main guns, moving up, and we were moving with them because we were motorized infantry. And then when we got near the objective, we would get off our vehicles on foot and assault across the objective and do what we had to do. Yeah, I don't really think the United States Army adopted the motorized concept. I think they stuck with it for a couple years and then got rid of it. I don't know why that is. I thought it worked out just fine, but I'm just a grunt, so what the fuck do I know? All right, that's live fires with the 275. Now, the live fires of the 2nd Ranger Battalion, we did a hell of a lot of ambushes, a lot of break contacts, and a lot of company assaults, especially when we're getting ready for the Panama invasion. Now, you know, and the Rangers, back in the day, we used the 90mm recoilless rifle. We had 203s, and M60 machine guns. We didn't have 50 cals, you know, and I think we had a couple of Carl Gustavs towards the end. Those are anti-tank rounds. We didn't use, we used law rockets, we didn't use dragons, and, I mean, we fired off a whole assload of that shit. And, you know, I myself don't understand why they've got rid of the law rocket. You know, it's really a good bang for the buck. I mean, you open it up, you squeeze off a fucking anti-tank fucking missile, throw it down, and go on your way. So, I don't know. I thought it was a good deal. I don't understand why the Army got rid of that, but there's a lot of good weapons the Army seems to fucking throw to the wayside, like the M14. That was a good weapon that they threw out. I don't understand why they went with the 240 machine gun. I like the M60. The 240 is a little on the heavier side and fires, you know, you can turn it up to fire incredibly fucking fast. I like the Pig, which the 60. I never had a problem with it, even when I was a 60 gunner in 2nd Bat for a while, you know, and in Ranger School. You know, it worked just fine. Now, some of those operations we're getting ready for Panama, we were doing a lot of jumps at like 800 feet, and I think a couple of them were at 600 feet for training. But the 600, I think it was just one 600-foot drop, and that was the last drop we did before the Panama invasion. And that was, I did a whole video on that where I talked about the whole Panama invasion, but I'm not going to really go into detail on that. But prepping for it, we jumped all the time, getting ready for that thing, like 5 months out. We started jumping pretty much twice a week. For some, you know, some weeks we do twice a week, but usually we would jump like once every 10 days. Like clockwork, no matter what. And we jumped out of, let's see, the C-141s, which I really didn't care for those jumps. I like jumping out of the C-130. And we also jumped out of the Chinook helicopter a few times over some of the drop zones in Fort Lewis. So I thought that was pretty cool. But again, you know, the Range Battalion, they're light infantry. You're not going to get like the 50 cal machine guns and all that other. And they might have that now on some of their new vehicles they use for airfield seizure. But back in the day, I don't think they had a 50 cal on their Sharks, which is the Jeeps they used to use, the gun Jeeps. I think they just had 60s, 90 millimeter recoilless rifles, a lot of 203s, law rockets, and there might have been a few AT-4s in there too. But I fired a few AT-4s when I was in the 2nd Ranger Battalion, but I fired probably 30 or 40, you know, law rockets, plus probably 150 sub-ammunition rockets, where they're smaller rockets used for the law, and, you know, to help you get your confidence up there with being able to hit targets with the thing. So I thought that worked out pretty good. And, you know, after, you know, you pull off your ambush or attack, a lot of times you have to work a break contact in there, which the Rangers were really good at doing that. And in fact, a lot of the tricks I learned in doing the break contacts with the 2nd Ranger Battalion, I actually brought with me in the Special Forces, and then later on to the company of 425, Lewis Infantry. Because basically I got them to a point where they're doing their break contacts almost identical to what we were doing in 2nd Ranger Battalion. Because the shit fucking worked like a charm. Now, the SF, you know, live fire exercises, they got real fucking creative. Because, you know, in theory, there's only 12 guys. So, you know, you have to, you know, most of the time we were on a Jeep or 2 or 3 Jeeps operating off as the team. You know, we might have a 106 recoilless rifle, which is a stupid big fucking weapon. I mean, the round is like this fucking long. It's this fucking big. And the sheer concussive force can destroy or cripple most tanks. If you get a good side shot on it, you know, you could pretty much either get a mobility kill, and if you can get it under the lip of the turret, you can actually lift the turret off of the tank and probably kill all the people inside. And a lot of times we'd have the 3 vehicles. We would, you know, stop and drop a mortar crew, 2 guys with either a 60 millimeter or an 81 millimeter mortar, and they would bubble up and get that thing ready to go. We roll out 2 Jeeps into the support column, and they would lay down, you know, the suppressive fire or fire up the objective, and then we'd have 4 or 5 guys to do a surgical strike. Usually on, you know, most of the time it was a demo strike to, you know, simulate blowing up, you know, railroad ties or bridge trusses and so forth. And then we would peel up and leave. A few times we did it on foot, but it really wasn't, you know, with 12 guys on foot, it's, you know, if you run into any kind of resistance, you're kind of fucked. Because, you know, 12 guys is 12 guys. You don't have, it's not like 12 guys with miniguns with unlimited ammo. It's 12 fucking dudes. And no matter what you think, you know, SF guys are not fucking invincible. All right? They're just human beings that happen to think outside the box, which is their strength and a very rare attribute in the military in general. Okay, another one we would do was a call for fire missions. We did that a lot. We did that at White Sands, Dugway, Utah, where we'd get some time with an A-10, a couple of Apaches. We'd work with those guys a lot. I believe that we actually called in B-52 strikes, but I don't think I was there for that one. I thought that was, I kind of bummed out I missed out on that. I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, the SF ones were very fucking creative. Of all of the live fire exercises I did, I thought the SF ones were probably the ones that were, you know, that first of all, they were a lot more fun. Despite the fact that they were doing some crazy shit, I always felt a lot safer with them than I did with the Rangers or the 9th Infantry Division. Fuck them. I thought it worked out pretty good like that. And, you know, even though I was a weapons sergeant, I got to do a lot of the crazy cross training. Like, I got to do the demo. I got to blow shit up with that. I worked all of the fucking, you know, crew serve weapon. Oh, fuck. Sorry about that. I worked all of the crew serve weapons. The 50 cal, fired the 106 recoilless. We also had 90 millimeter recoillesses, but they weren't cut down as short as the ones we used in second bat. They're the full length. And a lot of times we just kept those on vehicles. We didn't walk around with those. I fired off a hell of a lot of Claymore mines. I thought that was pretty cool. If I knew then what I know now, I probably would have took some more precautions, because that's a big boom, and that wire is not that long, and I probably wouldn't have done as many as I did, knowing that, you know, I'd get fucked up. And another thing we did in the SF for live fire was we did mount training. You know, you go to the tire house and you know, we fired an assload of fucking rounds in there. Even used a couple hand grenades. We did that in 2nd Ranger Battalion too. I almost got fucking zeroed out when one of the grenades bounced in the room with me and my buddy Kirk and the newbie who fucked it up. But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, that's my question on live fire exercises. I hope, you know, this helped you guys understand how that shit works. Live fires are a critical portion to being an effective warfighter. And, you know, if your unit is not using them, you know, and you're a combat unit, somebody's fucking up. All right? Because those are fucking, you fucking need that shit. All right? That is the #1 way to avoid people getting killed in actual combat, is to rehearse that shit using live fucking rounds. You don't want to be that guy where they hand you live rounds and you're going into combat and you have never done any of the warrior fucking tasks. Because I've been there, and that shit is fucking scary as fuck. It's royally fucked up. So, gentlemen, that's me for tonight, and I will talk to you guys later.